And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Last question: how do you keep your health up on the road? This is a key one. This is a key one. Um, I mentioned earlier that I I brought my robe here. I brought my favorite scents, all that good stuff. I also try to have some type of structure or routine, which is sometimes hard to do. Like this morning, I went and did brush my teeth. I washed my face, kind of got started, and then I did my 5 minutes of meditation, which in a couple of days I've been traveling recently, I haven't done. And to be honest, I woke up this morning and I felt pretty off balance. I'm like, what is going on? I was like, am I catching a cold or, when you travel, sometimes you eat some exotic stuff, for lack of a better term. I was like, what's something I ate? I'm like, oh no, I need to go ahead and wash my face, start my routine, do my meditation, and yeah, a couple minutes into my meditation, I was like, oh, I feel fine. Everything's fine. But my routine had been disrupted. And again, there's nothing wrong with disrupting your routine sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that continues to be disrupted, then that disrupted behavior becomes your new routine. And you don't know how your body, your soul, your mind might react to that. And so if you're feeling off balance when you're traveling, I think it's important to go ahead and have some type of routine, some type of setup that will help you keep some type of sanity. And there's some tools that I've had too, which I think have helped quite a bit with that. Excuse me. One, which is a funny one, is actually me bringing a portable Nintendo Entertainment System, which allows me to chill out. This is a fun one. Oh, if you're like me, oh man, look how tiny. Look at this. That's not even. It almost fits in my palm. This is just crazy. It's so adorable. Another holiday present. I think it was Father's Day a few years ago. Thanks again to my family for getting this for me around the time that first came out. If you are an 80s kid like I am, then you know what the vibe is. The original one was like way bigger. I don't think this opens. Okay. It was way bigger, but it actually is the same setup. And this is the power button. There's a reset button. Hopefully I'm unlocking some core memories for you guys. And there's an HDMI cord in the back, or plug where the cord goes in. And it's really as simple as that. It has 30 games, and the games vary from the whole Super Mario Brothers series. So SMB 1, SMB 2, and SMB 3, all classics, the trifecta. There's Metroid and Kid Icarus. If you're hardcore like me, you have a lot of memories of that. There are some hard games, so depending on where you're at. There's Ice Climber. There's Double Dragon, which was a classic fighting game from the 80s. There's Star Tropics, if you're an RPG nerd like I am, as well as the original Final Fantasy, and I believe Final Fantasy 2. There's Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Shout out to Mike Tyson. That's how long Mike Tyson's been around. He's like 57. He's still in the ring. This is back when he was the most dangerous man alive. Lots of other good stuff. Tecmo Bowl. So not just games that are actually from Nintendo itself, but also games that were from what we call third parties. So from companies like Capcom, which I think Mega Man 1 and 2 is in there. Like, they're covering like the greatest hits. All in here. You don't need to download anything. You can actually save at any time. Thank God. Because these are some of the Castlevanias in there. Speaking of hard games, it's some of the hardest games that have ever been made. The original Mega Man, I remember beating that, and I thought like my life was good. I'm like, wow, I'm part of the elite now. I'm part of Mount Olympus. Really hard games in here, some of them. You can save at any time. And I think there's 4 or 5 save slots. Metroid comes to mind, where it used to have a password system where it had 20 different characters, if I remember correctly, that you had to memorize. I remember getting the handwriting wrong because I've always had sloppy handwriting. I remember doing an all-nighter with Metroid, writing down the password, and then I must have gotten a letter wrong, and I lost all my progress, and I remember being so angry. You don't have to go through this with that. Again, I'm middle-aged. I'm not going to go through that anymore. That's for my kids. But also, the beautiful thing about this, 2 things that I love about it. Number one, again, it's ridiculously portable. These controllers are the same, like the same techniques that I use. Bam, they're the same, right? The second part of it is that everything's self-contained, and so I literally was able to bring this with me on my trip, and just again, tiny little thing, put it in the backpack. There's a couple extra wires in the back here, but that's it. And it's plug and play, as we used to say back in the tech days. And all 30 games are in there. You don't need to download anything. You don't need an internet connection. It's just beautiful and self-contained. And I loved when I got this a couple years ago, and my kids must have been five or six, 5 going on 6, and probably 8. So 5-year-old and 8-year-old, and being able to play these games with them that their old man, when I was around their age, was playing, and be able to expose them to this and to show them things that, they might not have, they might think you need to have a PlayStation 5 to have fun. And it's like, no, actually. And we spent hours, if not days, on this, much to the chagrin of the rest of the family, where it's like, okay, you guys need to take a break. 2 words of caution with this. Number one, this has actually become vintage in itself. So this vintage has become vintage. So these run a couple to a few $100s now. They're a little bit cheaper before, but now they're becoming harder to find. If you want one, you can use the link below, and they'll have used ones, whatever. Go for it. Again, there's not a lot of technical components to it. Just get one while you can, because again, I got mine about a couple years ago, and they were starting to become a little bit scarce then. And I was doing some research for this episode, and they're getting scarce again. So be sure and check it out. The second thing is that, which not crazy about, is that the controllers that come with it are tiny. What is this? This is 3 feet. If you've played any type of video games that are wired controllers, and again, this generation, you might be part of this generation where you're used to wireless controllers. I'm used to wired controllers. So my kids, again, 2 rough and tumble boys, and there's so many times where they were like in the middle of playing, I don't know, Mega Man, again, the hard one, the first Mega Man, and they end up yanking it out, and it gets getting yanked out. So I end up footing the bill for an additional controller, and there's a lot of third parties that do this, and this is actually another camp. I'm going to show you. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm about 5'7". This is my forearm. This is how long this wire, I can't even keep it on my forearm. This is how long this wire is. So it's like, was this like 10 feet? Like this is a thing, but they didn't yank it out anymore. It's worth footing. I don't know. I think I paid like $15 for this. 100% worth it. So if you're going to get the portable NES, I highly recommend, if you can, if you like classic games or you want to get into classic games, it's better than having to go to all the garage sales and collect the games. I used to have all the games. Know how hard that is, particularly nowadays. Just get this joint, particularly if you have like a small apartment, or again, if you're traveling, this works really well. And all you need to do is get you have the HDMI cord that comes in there. Most TVs have an HDMI cord, or you can go ahead, and if it doesn't fit, you can go and buy an HDMI to AV cord, which will fit some of the older TVs. Just try it out before you get on the road, and make sure that you have all the wires that you need. And the only upgrade I would recommend is getting some longer wires for the controllers. And again, that'll run you like $10-15. I love this little thing. I'm actually going to play with it a little bit later on during my travel. I cannot wait, and do it in a grown man way. So probably, pour a little something, turn off the phone, and then maybe beat The Legend of Zelda for the umpteenth time. They have Legend of Zelda 1 and 2. I'm going to digress. That alone should make you want to get this joint if you're as hardcore as I am. That's one of my favorite things as far as with traveling. That actually helps more with my mental health. With physical health, this is one of my favorite things as well. And shout to my partner who actually found this, and I got into this, so thank you. It's Elemis Aching Muscle Super Soak. And, I don't work in a construction yard, I have some rough hands, but they're not that rough. So it's not like I have a laborious job in that regard. But I love taking baths. And this, you could take like a half a cup of it and you pour it into your bath, and it has little bath bubbles, but it also you can feel it as far as that. And I'm gonna tell you the truth too. Like, again, my kids are 8 and about to turn 11, and they love beating up their dad. Like, you don't have to call protective services, but you know, like they're always fighting, either fighting each other or fighting me. And it's play fighting, but you know, they're getting older now. And so even as far as wrestling with them or at the park and we're running, just a physical activity, that can put some wear and tear in your body. It's fantastic for baths. I would highly recommend it. It is on the expensive side, but you only need to use so much. I have it on I get it through Amazon. Shout out to Amazon. And I actually have it on my subscribe and save. Sorry, got a lot of shine going on here. Live very, very bright over here. But I have subscribe and save, which I think currently that saves about 5 to 10% off the price. And I get it quarterly, you know, and I take baths a few times a week and it lasts a long time. Again, you don't need that much. It is medicinal, so you want to go ahead and check the ingredients. You're not going to be able to read on here, unfortunately. I'm happy to keep it up, but it's not going to help on the camera. But feel free to go to the Elemis website or click the link right here, and then they have all the details. If you have any type of allergies or stuff like that, it works very well for me. So I'm happy to share it with y'all and do that. That pretty much only works with baths. And so if you're traveling in a place where there's showers, not really going to help you. But if you're in a place where there's baths, not jacuzzis, but actual baths that you're actually able to sit down into, then that's a big part of it. And that leads to my next recommendation, which I just got into recently. It's been on my list for a long time. I'm going to move my coffee because it's going to get big. Shout out to Saigon Coffee. You know, I love y'all over there. So this is I don't know how to pronounce this one. Urolin? I think it's Urolin. It's on my list for a while, but don't know how to pronounce it. The Urolin Premium Bath Tray Caddy. Bring it physical again. This is a bath tray caddy. It actually goes in half. Again, making it easy to travel with it. And then, there we go. And then it expands. I feel like I need to play some backgammon. Oh, it's on the other side. I was like, why isn't it staying still? Got it backwards. There we go. So this is the premium bathtub tray caddy. Hopefully you can still hear me. More importantly, that you can see me. And as you can probably guess, put this down so you can see my big head. As you can probably guess, it's a bathtub caddy. So while you're taking your bath, you go ahead and put this down. And I love having baths where it's just me being out in the space or laying back and, you know, putting my head under the water or just reflecting on the day. Sometimes I want to have a glass of wine or something stronger. Hey, there's a space for that. Sometimes I'm in the middle of watching one of my favorite programs. There's space for that too. And you can go and set yourself up. And it is waterproof. Oh, it smells so good. It's actually made out of real wood. Still very affordable though, but made out of real wood, and it's just a vibe. You also can lock it into place. I know it seems loose, but you can lock it into place so it'll be firm. Just, of course, be careful with it because you will have it over water. And I started using this a couple weeks ago. I'm a big fan of it. I'm definitely going to take it traveling with me. And it's, again, about twice the size of my head. And then it's actually a little bag that comes with it. I don't know if I'm going to use the bag or not. It's a sturdy bag, but I don't know if it's really my style. And the joint fits right in there. And that's it. The last thing I'll say on that part is that it also comes with these little trays that slide right in there. And I can show you guys in a moment if you care to see it. But they go in there at a slight angle. And if you're intuitive, this is about the size of the average tablet. This is about the size of the average phone. Maybe not the average phone at this point, because you guys got some massive phones. I like my baby phones. You guys, man, I got older relatives that have phones that are like the size of my head. I'm like, you might as well just walk around with a tablet. But average size phone with fit in the ear, or at least you can lean against it. So you can put it in like this, almost like an old school typewriter. You put it in like this, and then you can lean it right there, and then you're good to go. So if you're watching Bridgerton, shout out to my friends and loved ones who are into that right now. You're watching Bridgerton, or if you're more like me and you're catching up on, like, I don't know, the Joe Budden podcast or Win Over Productions. Shout out to y'all over on YouTube. I'm loving the videos. Then you might be on the tablet, or you might be on the phone, and that allows you to do that. I'm not big on working, like doing serious work while I'm doing a bath. Like, this, the kind of, to me, that defeats the purpose. But if you have work you need to do, that could be the equivalent of you working by the pool, where stuff needs to get done. You might as well be comfortable with it. So that's helping with the health. Two recommended, get out my mouth today. I think I need more coffee. 2 recommendations as far as videos. Number 1 is Smart Holiday Travel, a live Q&A that I did a few months ago, where I gave a whole bunch of suggestions with travel, with more tools and stuff that would help you go through the holiday season. For a lot of us, because Memorial Day here in the States was like 2-3 weeks ago. It's fairly recently. And so that in the United States, that's considered the beginning of the travel season. And then Labor Day, which is for us, is in September, usually the beginning to middle of September, depending on the year. That marks the end of the travel season. And then, of course, there's the opposite of that picks up again around Thanksgiving here in the United States, which is around the 3rd Thursday of November. And then it ends around New Year's, which, of course, is January 1st. This gets into a lot of the other details that I was not able to get into with this, and also the best kind of tools as far as software that can actually help you while you're traveling too. So be sure and check that out if you want something a little bit deeper. And lastly, travel without leaving home. This was an important one for me because I wanted to give the tools that might help you if you couldn't leave. And this episode is closer to when we are sheltering in place. Also, there's a lot of people that I coach and a lot of people that I care about that have physical, mental, or emotional limitations where they're like, yeah, I can't leave the house, right? And if you're in that group, it's like you still deserve to be able to travel. And so I give a whole bunch of tools, a whole bunch of software, even some websites that will allow you to expand and learn without having to get on a plane or a train or automobile. And so it's an important episode to me because I want to make sure that I gave love to all y'all who might not be able to head to a hotel or go on a spontaneous road trip, or it requires so much inordinate amount of travel or planning, that traveling doesn't seem realistic at the moment. So, if you're in that position, and I know some of y'all are, be sure and check out the episode. Again, really important episode. And as you can tell, it's really close to my heart. So hopefully it serves y'all well too. Yeah, so that is travel tips and how you can do some serious road tripping this summer or winter. Shout out to my Aussies out there. Much love to y'all. But however you're traveling, hopefully it'll help you get there. If you miss any of the products or discussions, of course, you can rewind, or you can go ahead and click on the links below. Everything is broken down there. My entrepreneurial coach, Damon Brown, of Side Hustlers, Solopreneurs, otherwise non-traditional entrepreneurs. This is Bring Your Show, coming to you every Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You can subscribe for free. And you can get my latest book, The Complete Bring Your Worth Collection, everywhere fine books are sold, as well as listen to it here at bringyourworth.tv with a link below.